I do feel like a lot of minorities, specifically brown and black communities, are extremely undereducated in the real estate buying process. That is what my channel is mainly about.
I dream it, I work hard, I grind till I own it. I twirl on them haters, albino alligators. El Camino with the stilo, sipping Cuervo and no chisa. Sometimes I go out, I go hard. Get what's
What is
mine.
up, y'all? Welcome if you're new. Welcome back if you're not to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tyann, but a lot of people call me Taj, and I am a licensed realtor here in the state of South Carolina. I currently service the Columbia/Fort Jackson area. So if you, yes you, or anybody that you know are military affiliated and PCSing to or from Fort Jackson, or even if you're not military affiliated and you're moving to the Columbia area, I am literally and figuratively your homegirl. But wait, Tyann, I don't live in the state of South Carolina, but I am interested in information about buying or selling a home, or I actually need to buy or sell a home within a certain amount of time. Don't worry, I got y'all. I am still your homegirl, literally and figuratively, because my geographical network expands across all 50 states, and I can help you get started, link you with a lender so that you can get pre-approved, and then refer you to a realtor, a trusted realtor in your area, so that you can satisfy your real estate needs. Now that we got that out the way, first and foremost, let me apologize for a plethora of noises that you guys may hear in the background. You may hear my toddler, who is currently whining because it is nap time, and that's kind of just what he does to self-soothe. You may also hear a lot of banging and what sounds like construction. I do live in a new construction home, and I currently live on the only block that's finished, so there is a lot of noise going on a lot of the time, and if I waited for it to be quiet to film a YouTube video, y'all will never see me. So let me get that out the way. Also, if you guys hear crackling, it's my very nice black owned La Bougie Parfait candle. I will link their website down below. It smells amazing, but it is wood wick, so it is crackling, but that's just kind of my vibe. So if that's too loud, I'm so sorry. If you clicked on this video, it's probably because you or someone that you know are currently already in the market to buy a home. A lot of this video will be geared specifically towards buyers, specifically, even more specifically, first-time buyers, because if you don't know, I'm super big on education and dropping real estate gems as often as I can, because I do feel like a lot of minorities, specifically brown and black communities, are extremely undereducated in the real estate buying process. That is what my channel is mainly about, sprinkled in with some other stuff, but for the most part, you guys can expect to get real estate gems from me, and today's video is one of them. If you clicked on this video, it's probably because you're looking for a lender, or you want to know what you need to know before you solidify a lender. And I think it's super important for buyers to know exactly what to look for in lenders. Let me preface this with a few disclaimers. Disclaimer number one, you, the buyer, are always welcome to go find your own lender. However, your realtor may have a list of preferred lenders or recommended lenders that they have worked with. However, like I said, you, the buyer, have the final say. Your realtor cannot force you to go with their preferred realtor. They cannot persuade you, any of that. The choice is ultimately up to you and if you have a spouse or partner that you're purchasing the property with. Disclaimer number two is, although I'm going to be giving you guys 5 important things that you should look out for when you are selecting lenders, I do think it's also very important to let you know that the lender that you start this process with, the lender that you get either pre-qualified or pre-approved for, may not end up being the people that you owe when it comes time to actually pay your mortgage. That gets a little bit deeper into the home buying process, and I won't ruffle your feathers with all of the nitty gritty and the details, but just understand that the lender that you originally get pre-qualified or pre-approved with may not be, and most likely won't be, the company that you end up owing the money to and who you have to pay your mortgage to every month. Like I said, I am going to give you guys 5 things that I think it is super important that you, the buyer, need to consider before selecting a lender. Number 1 is going to be their reputation. But before I jump into my list of 5 things, Let me just break it down for those of you that aren't aware of what a lender actually is. So the term lender is just a fancy terminology that is used for a bank or financial institution, i.e., whoever you're going to be applying for your mortgage loan with. That's it. That's all it means. So when you hear me say lender, I'm referring to a bank, a credit union, whoever it is that you, the buyer, are looking to get pre-approved for to get a mortgage. Simple as that. So number one is their reputation. Does this lender have a good reputation? Do they have any recent lawsuits? Do they have any discrimination cases pending or in the past? Those type of things are super, super important when it comes to your specific home buying process. If you are a minority or a person of color and the specific lender that you're going through, I'm not going to name any names, but I'm pretty sure we all thought of the same one just now. That specific lender is the lender that you're going through. It is important for you to know if they have a long list of pretty much discriminatory cases against a specific minority, because if you fall into that minority category, you don't want to waste your time giving those type of companies and banks and lenders your money, because they don't deserve it. If they can't treat all human beings like they are human beings, if they can't not discriminate against color or race or gender or sexual orientation or whatever it may be, they are not the lender for you. Point blank, period. The second thing on my list of things that you the buyer need to consider when looking for a lender is communication. And honestly, I would have put this one number one, but me personally, I think reputation is just a little bit more important, but communication number two is literally, they're like neck and neck, because communication is I cannot stress this enough, is so important from your lender. I can give you guys a quick little story time. My second transaction was actually my first finance transaction. So my first closing was with a cash client. So I didn't have to worry about a lender, a mortgage loan, none of that. That client paid out in cash for that property. My second one, however, was finance. Things were going well up until literally the day of closing. Let me tell y'all, 20 minutes before closing, that deal was almost not closing because the closing attorney had not received the closing packet from the lender, i.e. bank, financial institution. That is a major problem. I had to call the lender 16 times, I'm not exaggerating, before she answered. And even then, the communication was always very spotty. It was always, I would call her, she wouldn't answer, she would email me back. So there was always a lapse in communication, which in the end almost cost my client that property. And that was my client's first home. So how was I supposed to call my client 20 minutes before closing to let them know, hey, we're not getting this house today because the lender has bad communication? No client, and if I was the client, I wouldn't want to hear that either. And I have a whole separate video that I plan to make on all of the people involved in a real estate transaction, because I think it's very important for buyers and sellers to understand that it's not just your realtor. There is a massive team of people working behind the scenes to get you and your loved ones into the most perfect home. I don't believe in anything being perfect, so there is no perfect home in my opinion. But there's a team that is working diligently behind you. But if that team is not communicating effortlessly and flawlessly, your transaction could very easily fall apart. And unfortunately, you could be out of some earnest money. So when it comes to communication, you want to look at things like how fast is that lender responding to you? How fast can you directly get in contact with someone? Because there's a big difference between going with a big bank such as Chase, Wells Fargo's, Bank of America, like those are big major banks, right? But then there's also these small private companies and private lenders that are a lot smaller, where you are specifically talking to the exact same person the entire transaction. More likely than not, your realtor is probably going to recommend a smaller, sorry y'all, that was my phone. More than likely, your realtor is going to recommend a smaller lender for this communication purpose, because when you have the big banks, the Chase, the Wells Fargo's, the Bank of America, it is super difficult to get someone on the phone, number one, and it's almost nearly impossible to speak to the same person twice without being transferred a million gazillion times. And all of us have been there on that end of the customer service line where we're trying to explain our problem over and over and over again to every single person that they transfer us to, where you feel like a case and a file number and not a client or a customer. And that's really important. Communication is key. If your realtor cannot have consistent and effective communication with your lender, your deal and your transaction could fall apart, and that could cost you the home of your dreams. The third thing that I think is super important that buyers should look for when looking for a lender is knowledge and information. Is that lender really taking their time to educate you on the loan process? If you have any questions, are they giving you very well thought out but also broken down into lamest terms answers? Especially if this is your first purchase. If this is your first purchase, your loan officer, which again, like I said, I'm going to do a whole separate video on the people that are all a part of your real estate transaction behind the scenes. But if your loan officer is not thoroughly answering your questions and breaking it down in terms that you can understand, that is an issue. Because for most people, purchasing property is going to be the biggest purchase that they ever make in their lives, right? So you want to make sure that you understand exactly what you're signing up for, because after that property is closed on, the bank, the lender, the financial institution, the credit union, they don't want to hear that you didn't know what something is. You signed your name on this dotted line, you owe us this amount of dollars, and that's that on that. So make sure that your lender is thoroughly and effectively informing you and educating you on all things related to your specific loan, but also the general loan borrowing process. And for the fourth thing that I think it is super important for buyers to know about their lender are their products. You need to know what your specific lender offers. There are three general basic type of loans, right? So you got your VA loan, you have your FHA loan, you have your conventional loan. For the sake of time's sake, I won't go into all of what those are, but those are generally the three basic type of loans, right? Almost every single lender is going to offer all three of those options. However, and to my knowledge and my surprise recently, I actually recently got to sit down and speak with a lender personally just to educate myself a little bit more on the loan and mortgage process. I'll actually try my best to insert some clips right here of how that went, but I pretty much spent 2 hours just speaking with a mortgage broker about the loan process, about all of that lender specific products. And that specific lender offered something called a dream mortgage, which was a fourth option besides the three that I just mentioned. So every single lender is going to offer different products. And when I say products, I'm really just talking about loans. I'm just speaking in the same terms that you will hear the lender speaking, so that by the time you go and sit with them, you're more familiar. And you know, you can walk into that conversation with a little more confidence. Like, oh yeah, Taj told me they don't call loans at the lender. They call them products. So you know what? You're welcome. I got you, like always, because I'm your homegirl. And that's on period. And also, when it comes to products, it's also super important to know, what does that specific lender specialize in? Like I said, almost every lender is going to offer all of those three products, and then on top of that, their own personal. But find out what they specialize in. If you are a military affiliated buyer, you want to find a lender that specifies in VA loans, where that is majority of their mortgage loans, because you know they've done this millions of times. And although every time is not going to be perfect, they are very familiar with the VA lending process, or they're very familiar with the FHA process, or very familiar with the conventional process. Every lender should be familiar with these products, but some lenders are going to specialize in one more so than the other. So that's just important for you, the buyer, to know. So the fifth thing is going to be the current market interest rates. And I know some of you may have been expecting me to say this first, but I put it last on my list. For a specific reason. A lot of lenders, if they're good lenders, are going to offer very competitive rates. Taj, what does that mean? That means the rates at lender A and the rates at lender B are not going to be that far off, if even different at all. Some of them may match their competitors, etc. So what that means for you is that it's not necessarily about the money. It's not about price. It's about the experience. It's about the customer service. Because if lender A and lender B are both offering the exact same rate, but lender A has a bad reputation and some discriminatory cases pending, but lender B doesn't, and they're charging the same rate, going with lender B would be a no-brainer, right? So I think it's important to consider rates, but also understand most lenders are going to offer competitive rates. And if a lender is specifically marketing themselves to offer the lowest rates, I'm not going to call it a red flag, but I'm going to say that's a yellow flag. Because why? Why are their rates so much lower than everyone else's? That is when you jump back to the four things before rates. Like, okay, what is this lender's reputation like? What is their communication like? Do they have a history for educating and informing their clients thoroughly? Do they have a specific type of product? Why are their rates so low? There's a big difference between low rates and competitive rates. And I'm not saying if a lender offers low rates, that's bad. I'm just saying do all of your research on the back end to find out why their rates are lower than everyone else's, because you might be surprised at what you find. And that is all I have for you guys today. So if you thought that this video was helpful, or you know someone that may need this video, first and foremost, give this video a big thumbs up, because I drop real estate gems like this all the time. I literally upload videos once a week. And if any of this information was new or different from what you know, drop it in the comments below. Let's get this discussion flowing, because a lot more people need to understand the back ends of a real estate transaction. Most people don't find this information or aren't privy to this information until they're already in the home buying process, which I think is absolutely unfair to you, the buyers. And that's what your homegirl Taj is here for, to give you the gems. So by the time you go to sit with a lender to get pre-qualified or pre-approved, because yes, there is a difference, you already feel ready, you feel confident, you don't feel as overwhelmed when someone else is giving you all of this information after you've already signed your name on the dotted lines. Because no, we don't want that. We want to make educated, informed, and concise decisions, because real estate is nothing to play with, okay? And you can get to the bag with real estate, but I need you to be educated and catch these gems that I'm dropping. And the only way to do that is to make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I drop real estate gems like this all the time, and you want to make sure that you're here to catch up. If you made it to the end of this video, congratulations. You are officially part of the tribe, and you stuck with me now. So go ahead and not only subscribe, but go ahead and turn that notification bell on. Don't worry, I'm gonna wait. You did it? Oh, all right. And I will see you, yes, you, because you're going to come back, because come on, you want to catch these melanated real estate gems. So I will see you in my next video.
I dream it, I work hard, I grind till I own it. I twirl on them hitters, albino alligators, El Camino with the stilo, sipping Cuervo.